Ready? Ready? Live? Cool. Hey guys, what's up? It's Dean. It is Wednesday, it's 12 p.m., which means we're doing a live broadcast. So, hey Instagram, hey YouTube, hey Facebook, wait, hey YouTube, hey Facebook. And last week I talked about the best stretches, or I think the most effective stretches you can do to counter sitting. And this week, I know that a lot of people travel. I know a lot of our members are using Manful Yoga because they can access it as a reliable workout when they're traveling, if they're in a hotel room, or if they don't have equipment. So I want to show you guys some stretches that you can do while you're actually seated. So these are things that you can do if you're on the plane, if you are sitting in a car and you're not driving, while you're sitting at your desk. So these are a lot of things that you can do. And these are honestly realistic exercises that you can do. I know a lot of people are concerned about how people look at them when they're exercising. I don't have any tool for that other than saying, what do you care about more? Do you care about your fitness more and your health, or do you care more about what random strangers think? And if you care more about what random strangers think, then maybe reevaluate your values. But for those of you who don't care what people think and are wanting to take care of your bodies even while you're sitting, I want to show you some exercises that you can do realistically while seating. And these are things that I do when I'm on the plane, when I'm traveling, maybe if I'm in a car, again, or if I'm just at a desk and for whatever reason I can't stand up. Obviously, the best thing that you can do, the best exercises that you can do are not going to be from a seated position, but maybe you're injured, maybe you're recovering from a knee surgery or a knee replacement, maybe you have an ankle issue, whatever it is, or maybe you just can't stand up right now, or whatever rules are in place or expectations, whatever have you. So I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do. We're going to start from the ground and work all the way up. So this isn't necessarily a sequence, a set workout that you can do. I'm just going to go through all the different exercises that you can do for your body, or at least just a sampling, a manageable sampling of exercises that you can do, starting with your ankles and working all the way up to your neck. I have my cheat sheet here, so I don't forget anything. All right, so first thing we're going to do are some ankle exercises, and these are great because you really don't have to, move, and you can easily do them pretty much in any chair. So the first thing we're going to do is just make some circles with your one ankle. So you're sitting, you're going to lift one leg up, and you're just going to make some circles. All right, so super simple. We're just making some circles with one ankle. Right, we're going to go counterclockwise. We're going to go clockwise. We're going to do both directions. And I would say you do probably at least 45 to 60 seconds in both directions. Minimum 30. Right, so we're going to do that. We're going to do the other side. Some ankle circles. Just get some nice ankle mobility going. You should be doing these circles on a regular basis anyways. So might as well do them while you're traveling and you can't, or might as well do them while you're sitting and you can't do anything else. Again, we want to make sure we go both directions. Ooh, that's weird. And you might notice that you have extreme difficulty making your ankle go in one direction as opposed to the other. And if you're starting to get tired while you're doing this, then that's also a good indication that you should be doing more of this. All right, wow. Come on, dexterity. There we go. All right, so that's the first one. We got some ankle circles. Next one, you guys have seen me do this a lot, but this is called a short foot exercise. And I'm going to, just so you can actually see my foot and what I'm doing here, I'm going to move back so you can see this. So the short foot exercise is when I'm shortening my foot. I'm bringing my toes closer to my heels. So I'm just going to squeeze my toes in like this. I'm going to lift the arch of my foot so the arch of my foot is more pronounced, and then I'm going to release it. So squeezing the toes in, lifting the arch of the foot, and then releasing. Okay, and this is going to help strengthen the arch of the foot. What I'm not doing while I'm doing this, I'm not crunching my toes up, right? I'm not just rolling my toes up like that. I'm actually keeping my toes neutral and then lifting the arch of my foot. And I'm going to feel my ankle working. So right around the top of my ankle, I should feel some engagement. And I can do I would do a minimum of 60 seconds of this. And then of course we can do this on both sides. Again, just squeezing the toes in toward the heel, lifting the arch of the foot. And this is really good if you have flat feet, if you have plantar fasciitis. This is going to help if you have a lack of ankle mobility or your ankles are weak. This is really gonna help strengthen the ankles. All right, so that's one of my favorites. That's a great one you can do sitting or standing. Next one you can do, similar to what we did with the drawing circles with your legs, you can draw the alphabet with your foot, right? So we can do, right, A, B, right? So I'm just making different formations with my ankle. So it's just a different ankle mobility exercise. So go all the way from A to Z on one side, and then do the other side. And if you're recovering from an ankle injury, this is something that's a really good exercise for you. It's non-weight bearing, so you can do it even when you're injured, as long as it doesn't hurt. As long as it doesn't hurt you, you can do it. Anyway, so drawing the alphabet with your ankles is also a nice movement to do. And then we also have some things we can do as far as dorsiflexion and also plantar flexion, or dorsal extension, however you want to call it. So the first one I want to do with you is dorsal flexion. So we are making the top of our foot shorter. So basically for this, you're going to keep your heel flat on the ground, and we're going to drive the knees forward while keeping the heel down. Right, so this is working on the front of my shin. And this helps if you have poor mobility for squats. This is going to help you with squats. If you have weak anterior tibialis, that's the muscle in front of your shin. It's going to help with that. So this is an exercise you can do. And you want to think squeezing your toes and your shins closer toward one another. All right, so this is a simple exercise you can do while seated. The other one we can do is plantar flexion. So for that, you're going to reach your toes out in front of you and point your toes as much as possible. Okay, so now we're making the bottom of our foot shorter. So you can lean back in your chair however you need to. If you don't have the foot room, then you're just going to bring your knee in closer, like this, bend the leg more. We're going to work on pointing the toes as much as possible, right? Trying to make a straight line from your shin through your toes. And then if you want to counter that, you can work on squeezing your tops of your feet toward your shin. So now we're doing dorsal flexion, right? And now we're going to plantar flexion. So you can switch back and forth between that, work on your ankles. And then again, you've also got the ankle circles that you can do. So right, so the ankle goes in all directions. It can go, we can point it down, we can bring it up, we can point the foot to the side, put it to the outside. So you can do all those different movements with your ankle. All right, now let's move up a little bit higher up your leg. So most people have pretty weak hip flexors, at least in my experience. And one really difficult but super simple exercise you can do to work on that is simply lifting one leg from a seated position. So all I'm going to do is sit in my chair, and I'm going to keep one foot planted, I'm going to sit up tall, and then lift one leg up. Okay, so I'm just lifting this leg as high as I can while keeping my chest, while keeping my spine neutral and my abs tight. So I'm not going to lean back like this and lift my knee up like this, right? So I'm not curling. I'm staying up straight in my chair, and I'm lifting my knee up. And this is going to help strengthen your hip flexor. Now, depending on the room that you have, you can also extend the leg forward like this, and then you can also work on the quadriceps. So this is a really great exercise. But if you're seated, if you have minimal room, you're going to do this hip flexor exercise. I'm just going to hold it. And this is called a seated march hold. And I'm going to do it both sides. You can start with 30 seconds. You can work your way up to 60 seconds. This is level 1 with no resistance. You can add more resistance by pushing your hand into your thigh or pushing both hands into your thigh. Right, so that's going to help with your hip flexors. Hip flexors get weak as a result of sitting. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of you can do to stretch your hip flexors while being seated, but at least you can flex them. Right, the next one that we're going to do is we're going to move up, and we're going to go to your glutes. So one thing you can actually do for your glutes is, while you're seating, just actually squeeze your glutes. Pretend like you're going to stand up. Pretend like you're pushing up from a squat. Right, so we're just going to squeeze your butt, and you're going to hold. So you can't tell right now, but I'm squeezing my butt muscles like I'm going to stand up. So I'm going to lean forward a little bit, almost as if I was standing up from a squat position. I'm just going to squeeze my butt, squeeze, 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 and hold that for, I can either do quick contractions, where I'm doing 3 to 5 seconds, and holding, and then releasing, or I could do a 30-second, 45 or 60-second hold, where I'm just squeezing constantly for 60 seconds. You might want to be careful with this because this is engaging your bathroom muscles. So, just wanted to put that out there. So this is one thing you can do as well, right? So working on your glutes. Going back to hip flexors, if you want, you can also work on lifting both legs. and that's going to add a little bit more of a challenge. So that's kind of like doing a boat pose while you're seated. All right, now we're going to stretch your glutes, and this one might be difficult if you don't have a lot of room to your sides. Hopefully you're sitting with someone you know, that's so you can kind of invade their space a little bit. But this one, you're just going to cross your ankle over your thigh, like so. And this is what you're going to do. First, you're going to sit up really tall. You're going to externally rotate so that the inside of your thigh is facing up. Sit up tall like this, reach your toes back toward your shin, pronounce the arch of your foot, and then hinging from only your hips, so you're not rounding your back, you're going to fold forward like this, right? And so we're moving into kind of a seated glute stretch. And one reason that people have back pain when they're sitting is because their glutes get really tightened and active. So this is a really good way to counter this. I'm still in a seated position. Notice that my back is flat, right? So I'm not rounding like this to get this stretch. Most people don't need to do a forward fold while they're seated because they're already in flexion, their spine is already rounded. So you want to keep your chest upright and you want to keep your spine neutral as you're doing this. And I would hold this for at least 30 and up to 90 seconds. So that's a really good one to do. And of course you want to make sure you do both sides. One side will probably be tighter than the other, so just be aware of that. Nothing wrong with it, just is. And then again, staying up tall, hinging forward as much as you need to until you feel a stretch. And if you want, you can also kind of turn with this. You can get a little bit of movement, move from side to side. Just kind of experiment with that. All right, so there's your glute stretch. All right, moving up, we're gonna work on the spine now. So a seated cat-cow is really nice for moving your spine, for mobilizing your spine. So for this, hands gonna go on your thighs. You're gonna arch your back as much as possible, looking up at the ceiling, so arching your whole back, squeezing your shoulder blades together, looking up, and then rounding your back, pulling your belly button toward your back, pulling your sternum toward your back, and tucking your chin. All right, so I'm just kind of moving from an arch position as I inhale to a rounded position. Kaya, you gotta stop snoring, girl. And then inhaling to arch, pulling your shoulder blades together, maybe squeezing the elbows back and also squeezing the elbows toward one another. At the back, you can't see that, but I'm trying to pull my back together basically and open the front of my body and then round like so. So seated cat-cow is pretty effective. It's great for your spine, great for some movement. And then we've got a few other movements that we can do from the seated position for your spine. One other one, we've got twist, right? So we can do a straight upright twist where we're sitting upright and just working on thoracic mobility. So I'm just going to turn to the left, right? And if you don't want to be weird and look at the person next to you, you can keep your head looking forward. And if you want to work on your twist a little bit more, you can twist open more to the side with your chest and then still continue to look forward, right? So now it's a bit awkward of a movement, but I'm working my cervical spine in one direction, and I'm working my thoracic spine in another direction, right? So my hips are still angled forward, my thoracic spine is opening toward the left, and then my cervical spine, my neck, is opening toward the right. So it's kind of an awkward movement, but you can do that if you don't want to look straight to the side and look at the person next to you. The other option is you turn around and look all the way back. But again, probably going to get some weird stares from your neighbor if you turn and open your body completely open to them. But just depends on how comfortable you feel doing it. And then of course we're going to go to the other side with this. And if you don't have anything to grab onto, you can still twist with your hands in front of you like this. Obviously it's not going to be as effective. The best thing you can do is if you can get your hand, and this is actually really nice for your shoulders too, if you can get your hand behind your back, like so, and get a little bit of shoulder internal rotation, right? So if I can bring my hand to my opposite hip, and I can still keep my chest open as I do this, so I keep my shoulder blade retracted, and this is going to add, this is going to help open my chest, and also get a nice twist here, right? So this is another option for you. Okay, other things, another twist you can do, just bring your wrist or your elbow inside your knee here, and then roll back your opposite shoulder, and then look up. So if you have the room for this, you can try this as well. Thank you, Kai. Just like this. And for all these twists, I would say a minimum of 30 seconds. You can probably hold them for up to 60 seconds. And just from the other side, what this is going to look like. elbow or wrist inside the knee, twisting in the opposite direction, and you're actually going to push your forearm into the knee as you do this. And you might get a little bit of arm engagement as you're doing that, right? And then I'm also getting some nice extension, or I'm also getting some nice twisting through my neck as I look up. You make sure you keep your neck nice and long in a twist though. You're not down here and looking up like this, but getting long and then twisting. All right, so there's my twist. Some other stuff you can do with your neck here. A seated chin tuck, or a chin tuck exercise is really good for strengthening the back of your neck. And if you're sitting, which you're probably going to be doing something like this, right? You're on your phone, you're watching a movie. So if you are going to be watching a movie, I'm assuming you're on the plane right now, but if you're on the phone, if you're sitting and you're looking at a phone or you're looking down, then the muscles in the back of your neck are getting really weak. So one thing that you can do as you're seated is pull your chin toward your throat and look forward as much as possible. And you're actually engaging the muscles in the back of your neck here and stretching the muscles kind of above your or below your chin. All right, so I'm engaging those muscles here, stretching through here, and then releasing. And you can do these for 2 to 5 second reps, right? You don't want to move, you don't want to look like a chicken or whatever this is. But you do want to do these reps nice and slow and controlled. You can even hold it from here. And one other thing you can do from this position is add in some extension. So I can look all the way up at the ceiling like this and hold it. This is a really good way to strengthen your neck. As you're doing this, I'm also going to push down firmly through my feet and squeeze my butt. That way, I'm going to get some better core engagement. Kaya, stop snoring. You're disrupting the presentation. So getting some extension for your spine, again like that, pulling your chin toward your throat like you're doing a chin tuck, and then looking up at the sky. So that's a really nice exercise for your neck. You can also do the extension without the chin tuck for your neck. So we can just start in a neutral position here, and then look up at the ceiling, or look up at whatever it is, and then look forward, and again look up. So we can make reps out of this, like so. Or you could actually just do a hold for 30 seconds, and that's going to be a bit more corrective than reps. I like doing long holds, especially for cervical extension or neck extension, because most of us spend so much time in this rounded position with bad technique that it's a good idea to counter that, right, like this. Some other things we can do for our neck from this position, we can do lateral flexion, right? We can go from side to side. So I can bring my right ear toward my right shoulder like this. And if you want, you can also sit on your left hand. So if I'm stretching my left neck here, right? I can also sit on my left hand like this and then lean in the opposite direction. And that's going to get a really nice stretch all through the side of my neck and the top of my shoulder. So a little bit of sternocleidomastoid. I'm also getting a little bit of levator scapula here. So that's going to help with reducing neck tension. And then from here, I can also look down at my right shoulder. So I'm just going to turn to look at my right shoulder like this. Make sure that my chest is nice and open. And then that's going to trigger that levator scapula stretch, which is a big culprit when it comes to a lack of shoulder mobility and neck pain. Right? So I'm leaning toward the side and then looking down. I'm going to do that for both sides. Right? So leaning toward the shoulder, looking down, and then sitting on my hand if I want a little bit of extra, an extra stretch. I can also turn from side to side here, right? So I can look directly to one side. That's going to be really weird if you're sitting on an airplane and you're just staring straight at the person next to you. The way to get around that, as we discussed before, if you twist in the opposite direction at first, and then you look to the side, right? Now we're facing straight forward instead of facing directly to the side. So open your thoracic spine first, twist to the side, and then look forward. And that way we can get some twisting through the neck. Again, I want to do that both sides. So I'm going to look toward the left after I look toward the right. And there we go. So we move the spine in all directions. All right, shoulders. So depending on how much space you have overhead, one thing you can do is you can reach your arms straight up like this. And I find that if I'm on a United plane, I usually don't have this arm room, but if I'm on an American Airlines, then I can actually get my arm up and I can put my hand on the ceiling and then I can kind of lean forward like this and get a nice stretch for the whole shoulder here. So I'm working lats, I'm getting into my rotator cuff, I'm opening up my pecs a little bit. So I'm just doing this stretch like this and squeezing back, right? And I'm gonna hold that for 60 seconds usually. And then I'm gonna do both arms, so I'm going like this. And then if you have the space, we can also do some side to side movement, right? So we could do, if you have the space, bring the arm up, push your hips to one side, push your ribs to one side, and then reach toward the opposite side. So kind of like we're doing a standing side bend, except we're in a seated position. Again, we want to push down through the feet so that we have a little bit more core activation. Whenever you're pushing your feet into the ground, so if you ever have that heel to ground and that toe to ground contact, especially with the heels though, you're going to feel your glutes engage, and that's going to tell your core to turn on. So you always want to remember, push down through your feet to stay active through a seated position. Right, so I've got a standing side bend here, and I can do the opposite side, depending on how much room you have overhead. Other shoulder exercises you can do. Kaya. Shush. Other shoulder exercises I can do external rotation with my shoulder, so I'm just going to lift my arm up, and I'm going to turn my palm to face back, like this, and I can hold that. I can also just go from, right, I can go internal rotation here, where my palm is facing back the opposite way, and then go to external rotation here. Right, so I can just kind of go like this with my arm back and forth. And I would do them really slowly. Right, so we don't want to go like this when we're doing this, but going really slowly, turning the palm to face back, squeezing your arm back, feeling all of this in the armpit open up, and then going in the opposite direction. Okay, so we got internal and external rotation through your shoulder. And again, I mentioned this before when we did the thoracic rotation, right, when we twist from the side. But if you have the space for it and you can get your hand behind your back, it's a really good idea to do some internal shoulder rotation. So these are the muscles that you use when you're putting on a jacket. You'll feel these muscles engage. Putting on a shirt. What we want to do here is we're going to slide your hand, Kaya, hand to the lower back, like so. So sliding my right hand across to my left hip. I'm going to pull my shoulder blade together. I'm going to open up my chest as much as possible, my right side. I'm going to feel this muscle right in here, kind of right in my rotator cuff. That's what's going on here. Right there engaging. And then I'm just going to hold this. If you want to add a little bit more here, you can start to reach your hand up toward the opposite shoulder, like so. But as we're doing that, we want to keep the shoulder open, right? And this one's pretty difficult. So this one, you might actually start maybe sweating as you're doing this on the plane. Kaya has repositioned herself, but she's staying within earshot. All right, so I'm kind of moving my hand again, keeping internal rotation to the shoulder, but moving my hand up and down from my hip up to my shoulder. And this is a really slow and controlled movement. So I'm gonna do that with both sides. All right, so I'm gonna get my hand again behind my back here, pull the shoulder blade in, keep my chest open. I'm going to start by kind of pulling my hand away from my back. So just so you can see this, I'm pulling my hand, or just bringing it away from my back like this. Again, the chest stays open here. If I notice that my shoulder's rounding in like that, I'm not doing a lot, so I need to make sure that chest stays open. But this is a really nice exercise for your shoulder, and one that a lot of us aren't doing. This is something that I've actually started working on 2 or 3 times a week, and my shoulders are feeling a lot better as a result. So, all right, so there's your shoulders. We've got the external rotation. We've got the internal rotation. And then, since we don't really do a lot of this either, the last thing I'm going to show you is how to take care of your hands, right? So there's a ton of things that you can do for your wrist. The good news is that it's really easy to do these inconspicuously, or most people don't care if you're stretching your wrists. Right, so first thing we can do, we're going to stretch the backs of your forearms. Bring your hand out in front of you, palm faces you, grab the back of the hand, and then just hold like this. Right, so this is you'll see, I think this is called a maybe a mountain climber stretch or a rock climber stretch. Mountain climber and rock climber. They're really both mean the same thing, but what I meant to say is a rock climber stretch. Right, so I'm just stretching my forearms, palm facing me, pulling my hand back, and then I can also flip that and then have my palm facing away from me, pulling the backs of my fingers toward me and stretching my forearms. Most of us, because we spend a lot of time at a desk, don't need this one as much, right? We don't need this, this wrist extension as much. More so, we need this wrist flexion, right? So fingers facing you, pressing the back of your hand away from you. So that's one thing you can do. We've also got wrist circles, right? So we can just make some circles with the wrist. Great for your joints. We're going to go in one direction, and then we're going to go in the other direction. I would say 30 to 60 seconds for these. If you have the space, maybe doing some elbow circles, but You might not have the space for that. So elbow circles, same thing. We're going to start small, and then we're going to work bigger and bigger. Again, might not have the space for this. And then the other things that I like to do, and these are just really long stretches for the fingers and your wrist. I like to stretch my fingers as much as possible. So I'm just going to bring my hand out in front of me and spread my fingers as wide as I possibly can. It doesn't matter that my hand is, I don't have to have my wrist in extension here. I can just have it neutral, right? So I'm just spreading my fingers as wide as I possibly can, reaching my thumb away from my index finger, extending my fingers as much as possible, getting the pinky away from the ring finger, and just doing the stretch. And I'll hold this for 2 or 3 minutes, because I rarely do this stretch. And if your knuckles crack, if you feel some stiffness in your fingers in the morning, then it's a good sign that you should be stretching your fingers more. So I'll just do this. I'll do it with both hands, and I'll just hold this for 2 or 3 minutes and focus on it the whole time. So I'm trying to get bigger and bigger with my hands every 10 seconds. So I never relax while I'm doing this. I'm trying to get bigger and bigger with the hands. So I'm deviating toward my radius, which is this outer muscle here. Sorry, not a muscle, this outer bone here. And then I'm deviating toward my ulna, which is this bone on the inside of my forearm. All right, so I'm going from here to here, back and forth, side to side. And again, fingers are spread really wide. Other things you can do a passive stretch with your thumb, right? So I can just grab onto my thumb like this and pull it away from my index finger, or hold this for, again, a nice long time, maybe a minute or so. And then I'm gonna do this with at least a minute, actually, I would say, and then do it with the other side, like that. And then one more thing I'm gonna show you, just because it's really cool. There's a kind of like a webbing between your index finger and your thumb. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna pinch that area and hold it. And this can actually be tied into headaches. So I've had people hold on to this spot, and it might, as soon as you squeeze it, you might feel your head start to hurt, which could be you gotta see this, but I'm just holding on here, and I'm just kind of digging into this area. And I'm gonna do that for a long time. I'm gonna do that for 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm gonna do it on the other side as well. And that's just also a really nice way to kind of release tension in the fingers. Other mobility exercises you can do, you can bring one finger in at a time, right? So I can go pinky, ring, middle, index, thumb, and then back out. So just little things like this, just anything that you can think of that brings movement, right? These are the things that we want to do. And that's pretty much it. Well, as far as this list that I have here, but I mean, you could spend a whole hour doing all of that stuff, right? Going from your ankles all the way up to your neck, your chest, your arms. Obviously, there's some things that we can't do on the plane, and there's really no way to, I really am thinking about a plane. I'm thinking about the most minimal space you could have while being seated, and that's kind of what I'm making this video for. Obviously, if you have more space, if you're in a car, if maybe you're on a bus, again, maybe you're just at your desk, it's easy to do certain things, but I'm trying to assume that you have minimal space available. So all of those things that I just showed you can do with minimal space, and you can easily fill a 30, 45, or even a 60-minute window with exercises to get your body moving. As I was saying right when I started that, there are some things that you can't do, and your back might still get stiff. You might still be uncomfortable after a while, after sitting for a while, and that's normal. Our bodies weren't meant to sit for 4, 6, 8 hours at a time. So your back is going to get stiff at some point, even if you are doing this movement. So best thing to do is try to get up every hour and move a little bit if you have that opportunity. So again, but these are things that you can actually do while being seated. If you want to check out one of the other videos we've done, go to the Manful Yoga blog at manfulyoga.com/blog, and you can check out this live broadcast that we did the week before. Otherwise, you can go to the Manful Yoga website on Saturday, and you'll be able to see a full blog recapping all this information, as well as some. I'm looking at my team right now and thinking, how much are we actually going to include in this? We'll take some photos too though, so you can see some of these exercises and some brief descriptions of the exercises, and you'll be able to see a more complete guide of this kind of stuff. So yeah, let's go to questions or comments and I'll respond to those. I already got two.
Two questions. Someone asked earlier when you were doing the foot,
Okay.
if it's a way to help with blood clots.
So my understanding is the blood clot issue on planes is that it's due to a lack of circulation. So yes, that is going to help with that, but more so, you're just going to want to stand up and move. If you do have issues on a plane, I remember actually I was on a choir trip once when I was in high school, and one of our vocal instructors, who was actually she was healthy as far as I could tell, she had blood clot on the plane, and the reason was because she wasn't moving enough. So one thing that you can do while you're seated is push down through your feet like you're going to stand up. So push down through your feet like you're actually going to stand up. Squeeze your butt, squeeze your thighs. Engage your calves, engage your ankles, and that's going to help with blood flow, right? Muscle activation leads to circulation, blood flow. So that's what we want to do. The ankle exercises are going to help, but if you're looking for something that's going to be more about circulation, we want to pretend like we're doing a full body exercise. And a really easy way to do that is by sitting in that chair like we're about to stand up into a squat, right? And you can do that without actually doing a squat. So, other question.
Someone wanted to know, they were sore after doing bench presses, the yoga posture for chest soreness.
Okay, you can do a pec stretch on the wall, like that. Stretch on the wall, lean away. If you go on my YouTube channel and search chest stretch, you will find that. So youtube.com/manfulyoga. You can also go on the blog. I'm pretty sure we have a blog on chest tightness. So if you just search, you go to the blog, manfulyoga.com/blog, and you search chest stretch or chest tightness, you'll find stuff. But the best one you can do for your pec is that pec stretch on the wall, like so. Yep. All right, any other questions? Cool. All right, guys. What's going on in Manful Yoga? Oh, we just put out a brand new section in our members area. So we just released an exercises, tutorials, and more section. It has over 40 videos so far. Everything's categorized, highly categorized, so it makes it easy to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for something for your arms to help with mobility, or maybe you're a runner or an athlete and you're looking for a video relevant to your goals, we have tons of categories like that to help you find exactly what you're looking for. And we made this section because we have tons of videos that are useful, but they're not workouts. So this is the section we created for non-workout fitness-related material. And this is going to include a lot of stuff that you've seen published on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook, except in a highly categorized format. So you won't have to scroll through a big list of things. You'll actually be able to search for things specifically. So that's something that we added on Monday. Really excited about that. We already have 40 pieces of content there so far, and we're uploading, how many a week? Five? Okay, we're uploading at least five more per week. So that's a really cool section we just released. And then we also recently put out 4 new workout programs, Strength Foundation course, which you can buy as a standalone program on the Manful Yoga website. We also put out a beginner's yoga strength for resistance training, so a program for weightlifters or people who are doing bodyweight exercise and want to learn how to combine it with yoga. We also have a program for inflexible people, so if you've been working out for a while, if you're a pretty active guy, but you have joint problems or you can't touch your toes, or maybe you have hip mobility issues, this is an awesome program for you guys to help loosen up those tight muscles and enable you to continue what you're doing, but also feel a lot better and get better at flexibility in the process. So lots of new programs available. Currently the members area is closed for enrollment, but you can sign up for the wait list on the Manful Yoga homepage at manfulyoga.com. And then if you're looking for other videos like this, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. We put up tons of content there on a weekly basis. So it's just youtube.com/manflowyoga, one word. And follow me on Instagram and Facebook too, because I put out content there, or we put out content there that's all different from everything else. So stuff that you see on Instagram, you won't see on Facebook. Stuff that you see on YouTube, you won't see on Facebook. So it's best to follow me on all three. And then of course, if you're not already on my email list, that's the best way to stay in contact with me. You can join that at manflowyoga.com/intro. And that's also going to get you my free 7-day intro, which is a really awesome program that I think more people should be doing. It's a totally free program. Lessons are about 10 to 15 minutes long, beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. And it's a really awesome program that can show you how you can get noticeable results with Manful Yoga in just 7 days or less. So that's at manfulyoga.com/intro. And that's it. So guys, I'll be back here at 12 p.m. Central Time every Wednesday. Next week, we're going to be doing another topic. Last week, we did the most effective stretches to counter sitting. This week, we did exercises you can do while you're sitting. And next week, we're going to be doing something, I haven't figured out what yet, but I'm sure we will have a great topic for next week as well. So I'll see you guys later. If you're watching this after the live broadcast, just leave a comment and I'll get to it as soon as I can. See ya.